some other carry, I don't have an issue with the Lulu mid.
Yeah. Urgot ban, LeBlanc ban, Vladimir ban against CJ.
All right, well, no change in bans yet so far for Jin Air. But they're going to have a different last ban here, considering they were the ones who banned out Urgot in the last game, and it will be the Kog'Maw, actually.
Huh. And so does this mean you think they're planning on first picking Sivir away from CJ?
Possibly. They could go for a takeaway like that, or they just want to be the only team with a late game hyper carry in terms of that Jinx if they do decide to run it again.
Oh, okay. I suppose there is that too. And so what does CJ leave up? They're going to ban the Nunu. Okay, so not wanting that to get taken away by Chaser.
That's weird, considering that CJ is the one with the priority. They first picked Nunu in the last game, and we do have champions like Gragas and like Sejuani that are still very powerful in the current meta. So Ambition going to have to mix it up this game. They may want to pressure Jin Air into first picking Sejuani here. If that's going to be the case, they assume at least that Ambition has the larger champion pool. Cassiopeia.
Maybe for GBM here. Let's see. Coco had a couple nice ults last game, but it really was Space and Mad Life that carried that one. They're going to take it away, and are we going to see the Grungle? Ooh, and are we going to see Shy on Aurelia? That would be interesting. Ryze would also be interesting.
Could be played in the mid lane. There has been some mid lane Ryze popping up in the LPL recently.
Yeah, he did get some buffs back in 5.6 to his Q.
He's definitely a viable option right now.
Yeah.
In both mid and top lane. Although with Smite the way it is, and with the challenger, the challenging Smite the way it is right now with the Skirmisher Saber, I do think that Ryze maybe not the best in the top lane. But instead, CJ is going to take away the Nautilus this game.
Okay. And so you'd have to imagine that's going to go over to Mad Life. He had a fantastic game against Jin Air last time they met, just destroying Captain Jack. Are we maybe going to see this Ryze picked up for Jin Air now? So I suppose that would mean they would send it to the top lane, but you know, the takeaway of Rumble may be a bit more valuable here.
Well, they don't know what the top lane matchup is going to be, so picking Ryze would be quite confident. I think the Rumble much more likely. Go ahead and take that away from Shy. You also have some early game punch to balance out Cassiopeia, but that could force some easy ganks by Ambition as well. Two very immobile champions in the solo lanes.
CJ did ban Gnar last game as well, too. It's not banned this time around. You know, if they were worried about it. Apparently they're not as much so in the second game here. That's kind of interesting. Okay, and Chaser may be taking, or Trace rather, may be taking that top lane Shyvana again. And he will. Okay, so then Morgana taken away from Mad Life, but Nautilus was already locked in anyway. Derek would be pretty great, but I don't think we're going to see it.
He would be fabulous indeed, but
he would.
That's interesting that Trace is putting such a heavy priority on this Shyvana pickup, especially when that Hecarim ran amok in the last match, and Shy certainly has the chance to select that champion one more time. Maybe Jin Air will be trying for that 1v1 in this game and picking away them Morgana just so you don't have that same level of engage from Mad Life. Of course, you can try and block that depth charge as well with the Morgana Black Shield. So I think that is a good takeaway. And I imagine we will see the Hecarim again.
Ziggs?
No.
You don't think so? You don't think we're going to see Ziggs, do you?
No.
Please. Please, you don't think we're going to see Ziggs, do you? You don't think we're going to see Ziggs?
Wow.
We're going to see Ziggs!
Wow, it's been a long time since we've seen a Ziggs.
Yes, it has. And we used to see him clear waves in other lanes all day, But
I'm very curious how they're going to deal with this. Of course, he does have the bouncing bombs, and he does have that long auto attack too, so maybe this is a good lane counter to the Cassiopeia. I haven't seen this before.
I could see it. I mean, if you think about how this matchup could theoretically work, you could see the Ziggs being okay.
It would be difficult to deal with. Also, you have a lot of backline damage. Of course, Ziggs is a very high DPS champion in the late game, just like Cassiopeia, but does have a bit more range to play around with.
And are we going to see them pick up this Corki here?
So that's why they banned the Kog'Maw. They want the Jinx in the late game, and they will take the Sejuani again. So actually, not much of a difference this time around from Jin Air in terms of their composition. They're still The nice thing, though, is that they don't have the Lulu this game. They're running with another threat in the Cassiopeia. So I really like this one a lot better, Doa, as we do see the Corki actually taken as the last pick. So extraordinarily strong siege here from CJ Entus. They've got great wave control with the Ziggs ultimate, of course, in the side lanes. And they'll have some very good zoning away from turrets, just like they did last game with the Cassiopeia with the Ziggs. And can they siege effectively? Of course, the Gragas jungle going to be quite good as well. You've got great zone control between the minefield, the Corki rockets, the Gragas barrels. You're really going to be able to siege really, really well.
Oh yeah, you're going to be shoving people off turret all day with Gragas. And we haven't seen a lot of Gragas jungle in Korea yet. We've seen it in other regions plenty, but this is one of the first times, I believe it was played once before. Yeah, last week.
Wing played it on Janair when he was subbing in against KT Rolster. Didn't go so well for Janair.
Not really. We'll see if Ambition can do better. This is the first time we've seen him on this champion in the jungle. An old mid lane pickup, so probably something that he'll feel comfortable with.
Yeah, Coco did switch to cleanse in the last second, by the way, away from that barrier. Probably smart.
Good idea against Cassiopeia, yeah. And here we go, guys. Janair with a chance to tie things up against CJ Entus here in this best of 5. Can they do it? Or will CJ put themselves one win away from victory? Let's get in the game and find out. CJ fans are ready to go. Janair fans as well as we move on to Summoner's Rift for game number 2. And everybody from Janair going up into this top lane.
This is the first time in so long that we've seen Ziggs here in Korea.
Yeah.
So
Janair, I wouldn't say we've missed him per se.
I have not missed him.
Ooh, Q level 1 for Che. He's going to throw a binding in there. Oh! Narrowly misses Shy. That was a great attempt, but good positioning and try from Shy.
Especially since he didn't have a movement summoner either. If that had landed, but yeah, Shy, very good positioning in that try brush to avoid that Q from the Fog of War.
Yeah.
Obviously concerned about that possibility, and you have to be. That's a scary place to be in some of these invades. So Deep Ward's coming in topside from Janair. Now, it will be tough for them to 2v2 without that W start on Morgana, because you want to be able to clear that wave. It does help you race for that level 2. And now, Janair, they've got to scale very well here. They will have the scaling advantage, not necessarily in terms of top or mid lane, but certainly in terms of AD carries the longer this goes on.
With this Corki, though, I just want to fast forward and see how Janair is going to stop the siege. And yeah, they're going to try the 2v1 mid.
I just don't. Right. I don't think that 2v1ing with Shyvana is a very good strategy, Doa. And we saw how far behind Trace was last game, and now there's a lane freeze happening here in the bottom space, corralling those minions. And you also see the start on the bottom side in terms of the jungle takeaway already for Gragas just walking in and taking away the red buff. Meanwhile, same thing with Sejuani up in the top lane, but they didn't get much from this situation, and they weren't able to deny Coco very efficiently.
Do you think that GBM will have a better chance of denying Shy on this Cassiopeia, perhaps?
I don't really think so.
Okay. Oh, you may have a 3v2 in mid lane, although Trace is close by, but he's really low health right now. Mad Life thinking of coming in. They decide against it. And Che and Pilot push so far up, though, but they don't have vision on Trace. They don't really know where Chaser is as well, too, so CJ deems that one a bit too risky.
Great pathing by Mad Life, too. Look at this. He's already down in the bottom lane. Oh, he's actually just going to recall right here as the TP comes in, but checking out that early dragon. Not so much of a threat with the Gragas, comparatively.
Well, here we go.
Yeah, they are able to fast push this just a little bit, but that's not going to be taking very much damage with just a Doran's Blade.
Well, they're doing more damage to the turret early on than they did last time. Now, Che's Morgana has been pretty good the few times we've seen him play it. obviously, but Mad Life still 100% on that Nautilus, which I believe is only over 1 game right now, right? Maybe 2?
2, I believe.
I think it was just 1, and then he played Blitzcrank, remember?
Oh.
Yeah, so it is just 1. But he has won 100% of those games, those 1 games.
Well, looks like...
Oh, Ambition coming down. There's the slight knockback onto Trace. Just going to push him out of lane a little bit more.
Trace is keeping up this game at the very least, even though that freeze was happening. Ambition deciding to go into the bottom side. Look at that ward right outside of the turret range, actually, to make sure they know what he's doing. And Ambition is just trying to deny Trace as hard as possible right now. Make sure the lane is frozen. Make sure that he doesn't have these Krugs to farm. This is very smart of Ambition. Oh!
Smite on the big Krug, and Trace turning around onto Ambition. Manages to get the little one, but I think Ambition coming out ahead on that one.
Here we go.
Yep, Che, oh, he spies Mad Life coming out of that river brush.
Yeah, Jin is just trying to fast push these turrets and get as much damage as possible and try and snowball a lead that way. Just really not sold on this idea, especially as Shy does have Mad Life there to help him try and get that lead again, and Ambition is messing pretty heavily with Trace on the bottom side of the map.
Yep. Oh, Ambition coming down. He's going to spy Chaser here. And we'll see who wins the Smite War. Oh, it's going to be Ambition. Chaser smiting that one a bit too early. Gets a slow. Chaser's going to turn that one around there, but no support. So Ambition will be able to just push him back. His vision from the Raptor Pit activated too, but I don't know if he's going to find the ward in time. Doesn't look like he did.
Not, but he should have a good idea about what's going on.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Shy able to get some decent farm up in top lane with a little bit of help from Mad Life.
Now Corki has pushed that wave all the way back into that mid turret, but I don't think this pressure is going to be able to last in the mid lane with Zig's wave clear abilities and the fact that he can just send those minions to the minefield.
Well, as we move on too, that wave clear is going to only get better for Zig, so if they can't get it done now, they're not going to be able to get it done.
Very, very concerning, but like I said, at least Jin has a secondary damage threat in this game, so they won't be as reliant on Pilot as they were in game 1 of this series. Meanwhile, CJ, because of this Corki, they really do need to take some towers down after that Trinity Force, otherwise this Jinx could theoretically get out of control, and having all that burst, and well, just the sustained damage rather from Cassiopeia, setting people up for a series of resets, because if everybody gets low simultaneously, it'll be really easy for Pilot to clean up the team fight.
Yeah.
So
but it'll be like Lil Jon's best day ever. He loves it when everybody gets low.
He does love it when everybody gets low.
I heard he wrote a song about it even.
It's pretty much the only lyric, in fact.
That's just true. He really likes it. And so, Coco gonna push that lane out a little bit more. GBM a bit higher on CS up in that top lane. The lead for Shy not quite as great this time around.
It's still opening up in a kind of disturbing way, even with Mad Life now down at the bottom. Chaser still trying to use the advantage.
Whoa!
Gets it, actually, that time.
Smote the large raptor that time. Ambition able to finally find that turret, though.
They're trying to use the fact that the duo in mid lane does have pressure just to counter jungle, but it's just... I'm not sure it's effective enough. Ambition's still able to find farm. Chaser's waiting for this one. Che will go ahead and ward this just to make sure it's safe for him to go for it. It is indeed safe for him to take the red buff, as we see Ambition wants to grab the crab instead.
Are we going to maybe see CJ try for a dragon pretty soon here?
They don't know where Chaser is, and they're not going to see him at the red. So with the recall, however, of Coco, they are going to have to wait. Unfortunate timing, as Pilot will go back and pick up a BF sword this time, so not going pickaxe into Aberrus Blade like we saw in that last game. Chaser with the steal.
Yeah, and it looks like he might be able to get these Ancient Krugs instead. Shy coming down to try to stop that. Chaser a little bit too threatening, though.
Now, does this trigger the dragon is the question. Then he knows
looks
Chaser
like it is
up on the top side, because everyone on CJ, now that Coco recalled, is converging on that point. And Trace will actually take their red buff.
Yep. Okay, so trading red buffs. Ziggs ult used just to push that wave back in mid, and that should allow CJ to take a very easy dragon here. Meanwhile, top turret does fall to GBM.
That's really quite necessary for Jin Air.
Trace, can he steal it? Waiting for it. Nope. Whoa, dragon. Nearly taken out. Pilot trying to do his best wild turtle impression there.
Couldn't quite steal it that time. It was
close.
a hair too late. And now Trace back at the bottom, but hardly any damage onto this tower. So CJ decided to try and freeze that one, but due to Cassiopeia's zoning up in the top side and Mad Life's commitment to staying up there with Shy, they weren't able to get any damage down, really. They have a Sheen now, so maybe...
Wow, that's good damage on that turret from CJ.
Yeah, finally, Trace using his smite onto the cannon minion, and they are going to use the burnout AoE to clear the wave. So he will catch up a little bit in terms of CS, but that gold lead going over to Jin Air early on. Now just a straight teleport from bottom up in the top side. Trace.
Well, why not? Need to keep that CS. You know the dragon has been taken. I would imagine they know by now. And so you know that you're probably not going to need that teleport for anything anytime soon.
Yeah, and pretty smooth transition as well with this Jinx.
Right.
Able to come into bottom after going for the Krugs here, looks like. Yeah, will take out the Krugs and head down. Early Berserker's Greaves this time, so a little bit of an adaptation. Pilot, usually when you see the early Berserker's Greaves like this, it does mean that you want to put a lot of minion wave pressure down, that if you're going to be left alone with the tower for any length of time, that you will take it out. So Jin Air, fast push is the name of the game this time, and we'll see if CJ can weather the storm. Certainly with the Ziggs, they have tools that they can use to clear the side waves with that ultimate and play the map better and try and scale late. But even so, Jinx still going to be quite dangerous in the late game as more wards going down right now. Mad Life gets hit with bind.
It's like, so that's what it feels like. To be hit by a max range bind. Still doesn't know what it feels like to be hit by that and then die immediately. Working on that one. So far, a pretty passive game as these teams kind of rotate about, and
yeah, GBM
pretty even game as well.
Yeah, GBM not going for the arm guard this game. It really didn't serve him very well at all in the last one, so it's good to see him just go for that tier, started stacking right away, and now he's in much better shape to lane up against that Ziggs and hit a more consistent power spike than we saw. Trace also catching right back up in terms of CS.
Yeah.
And has the faster Saber as well. So he will get more money from those gold camps or from those jungle camps, and maybe look to increase that lead just a little bit further if he can.
He'll try. And now we finally have that 2v2 in bottom. And we'll see if Space and Mad Life can kind of be their aggressive selves that we saw them in the last series between these two teams. Space and Mad Life won lane really hard against Jin Air.
Different circumstances this time around. And
different ADC.
Yeah, and also just a different result in that early game as well. The fact that this Cassiopeia was able to bully the Hecarim early and get that tower is huge in terms of the difference this game. Now Trace does have some pressure in top. They have put down a lot of these wards to make sure that Trace is able to push it all the way up to the tier 2, and now they're going after Shy, forcing that ultimate.
Yeah, not bad. A little bit of a win there for Jin Air. Chaser getting that with just basic ability, and they're going to be able to get a little bit of damage done to this turret.
And GBM is definitely the guy you want in mid lane if you're in this situation. GBM is a very cautious mid laner. He rarely overextends. He plays with a lot of respect for where the enemy team can be on the map while still maintaining very high farm.
Yeah.
That is one of his advantages. As early in his career, he played too aggressively, but now it's very rare to see him get killed in the laning phase.
Well, it was interesting. In an interview he did a few weeks ago, he said, you know, I used to want to be the guy that was making all the plays and be flashy, but I had a change of mindset, and I just wanted to say, hey, you know, I'll just play my role and see what I can do for the team. And
yeah, he's very patient now.
Yeah, since he made that decision, his results have been way better. And I think it's opened up a lot of champion picks, too, that he wasn't able to play before.
Yeah, he did pigeonhole himself into some wacky picks at times.
Yeah, a little bit too much Orianna.
Or Heimerdinger.
Yeah, Heimerdinger as well. Yep. Change in attitude that helped out quite a bit for this team.
All right, so it will be Merc Treads actually for GBM.
Okay.
Cautious, even though it's, well, I suppose Corky's early damage, the magic damage, that will help him a little bit since he does have that shorter range and has to be a little bit more of a frontline threat. So Trinity Force is done now for Space. Corky has been one of his best champions so far this season, but these bursty ADs, the timing window that you have to operate them now before the tanks simply outscale them is quite low.
Wow, Chaser walks right in there too. They've got a ward. Jin Air not really in a position to act on this, as CJ knows exactly where they are. And CJ can't really counter it. They don't really have enough people around to try to fight it.
Well, also there's a black shield in there. There you go. Just a little bit of a delay. They want to get as much poke damage as possible so that they can make a play onto this dragon in 15 seconds. Very nicely done by Space.
Yeah, really
good
accurate
patience,
with those rockets.
Good patience, seeing everybody clumped up right there, waiting until the dragon timer was ticking down before making a move.
Well, and look at that. I mean, it looks like that may just give CJ the dragon right there. We have a recall going on from Shay when the dragon has just come up, so no Morgana. And yeah, Jin Air just going to give this one up. That's going to be another dragon for CJ. And they complete their, or they continue rather, their dragon shutout of Jin Air. This is pretty insane, actually.
Yeah, fourth game in a row, still no dragons for the Jin Air Greenwings. This is exactly what CJ needs right now. Now, if you're Jin Air, it's not the end of the world to give up that dragon, but you can't give up 3 and 4 without putting up some sort of a fight. CJ definitely going to have the stronger. They have that power spike with the Trinity Force. Pilot has not completed an Infinity Edge yet, and GBM with no defenses and still trying to stack up that tier. So I agree with Jin Air that now is not an opportune time to fight, but that dragon total is not looking too great for them. Chaser trying not to give away the Raptor right here.
It seems like in their last few series, CJ have just, or Jin Air rather, has just never found that right time to fight, you know?
Well, CJ,
for whatever reason.
They tried to set up for it. They tried to make a pick, but CJ had the ward in the right location, and you could see that patience waiting to poke out the support so that they effectively couldn't fight. Now Trace and Shy going at it. Trace a little bit down in terms of items, hasn't gone back to shop recently, and nice knockback.
Yeah, no kidding, and he's going to go in. There's the fear onto Trace. He could be in trouble. Will he get him? Looks like he will, and first blood is going to go to Shy on that Hecarim.
Beautiful play by Shy.
No kidding. Man, Hecarim is starting to be a potential must-ban against this guy.
Just using that Cinder Hulk AoE damage and moving up through the lane, setting it up so that he could predict that ultimate from Shyvana, having that E, and then stuffing the Dragon's Descent right as it happens, and then immediately turning around Ambition there at exactly the right time to knock him into the wall for the stun, and Shy will finish that one up and take a turret with Ambition at the same time. But CJ really powering through right now. Look at Space. He's already chunked out Che and Pilot.
He's doing this by himself, too. He has to back off, but did a bit of damage to the turret, did a lot of damage to Che and Pilot.
CJ's wise to force their advantage right now.
Yep, this is the
time. They have to get that gold lead.
This is the time to make this composition work the way it's designed to, and so far CJ doing that really, really well. And with the way that Coco is held mid lane, too, I feel like they can just kind of rotate into that lane and take the turret pretty much at will at this point, can't they?
Well, as long as there isn't any more wave clear there, GBM can hold it, and if he has some help with Jinx, perhaps they could, but there's that auto damage going down onto the turret.
And GBM needs to be there in order to protect the turret.
Better and better situation for CJ Entus. Now, Jin Air isn't out of this one yet.
Not yet. But when things like this start to happen, you get a little bit worried. But yeah, to be fair, usually we do see Jin Air just kind of collapse in game number 2, and so far they've done okay this game. They've kept
They've done much better this game. I mean, we were looking at a very different scenario 18 minutes in the last one where CJ was absolutely ripping through Jin Air at that time.
Well, very different series as well so far in terms of game number 2 at the moment anyway, because if you keep in mind their last series, the second game, they ended like 8,000-9,000 gold down to CJ.
I'm very impressed with CJ this game, even more so than last time, because in this game, Jin Air didn't have that big deficit in the top lane, right? For the most part, they've kept up, and instead it was just very patient timing, great dragon control that's kept CJ Entus in this one, and even those little things like forcing that recall by space and hitting that Trinity Force timing with Corki and using it so well, as well as Shy 1v1 pretty much outplaying Trace on the top side, has yielded a pretty substantial advantage.
Do you think like the Shyvana pick is possibly not the best choice here?
Shyvana is a good champion. I'm not sure if Shyvana is the right pick for these 2v1s, but that said, Trace did hold his own, and Jin Air had that early tower down compared to CJ.
Oh, there's a smite used with that skirmisher saber. Shy and Trace skirmishing appropriately with their sabers. Well, you'd assume there's sabers somewhere on their person because you can't really see any.
Shy just has that item advantage, however. And Shy just been building tanky so far in this series, hasn't gone for the Trinity Force.
Having to run away from Trace at that time. He's running a bit low on mana anyway.
This vision control is so much better for CJ as well. Ambition been setting up a lot of this, but look at the deep wards on both sides of the map right now. For CJ Entus, they can pretty much just pressure tier 2s with impunity. And now here comes Ziggs. Maybe he can get some more poke off. They're trying to use that Sheen just to get as much tower damage as they can.
Yeah. Oh, they did a little bit again, but they're really forcing Jin Air to kind of move around to where they want them to, you know?
CJ's playing so well.
Yeah, CJ's like the puppet master right now. Oh, red buff went to Ambition, it looks like.
Yep, Ambition. Grab that one away. They're just contesting every single objective. Coming back into the mid lane right now. GBM is there to catch the wave. GBM's going after the Rylai's this game, so he's hoping to kite out Shy and help peel for the Jinx. I think this is a really reasonable buy considering he's up against a lot of mixed damage. There's the Abyssal Scepter not going to be as useful in this game, especially if a Hecarim's on top of him. So go for the raw HP and the fact that you will be able to kite. I'm a bit surprised GBM went for the Ignite in this game instead of the Ghost. That's, I think, a little bit strange. So here's the Dragon, number 3. CJ with the position on it, CJ with the superior wards, and already trying to chase out Trace.
Well, if they can chunk him out, then this Dragon is all but theirs. But Jin Air looking more ready to fight this one than they have a lot of the other ones. Trace coming down, he's got his teleport, so does Shy, but he doesn't need it at the moment, he's already there.
Shy's just going to take blue buff. CJ's decided they're going to give this one up.
And they can totally do that too. Yeah.
Or they're going to try and delay it long enough for Shy to get blue. But
Dragon getting a bit low. Ziggs ult comes in.
Oh, they're
teleport
going.
happening. Dragon, can they take it? Who's going to pick it up? Ults come through. Looks like Trace does manage to grab it for Jin Air, but CJ is going to get a couple kills at least. They got one. Looks like that's all they'll be able to come away with. So Jin Air manages to take the Dragon, but loses Pilot. And they may lose this mid lane as well, too. GBM's going to try to save it, but I don't know. Yeah, the turret's getting
so much
low.
zoning there.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to save this one.
Yeah.
So CJ, just with great map pressure.
Wow, are they going to get 2 turrets out of this?
Jeez,
look at the poke,
rockets.
Though. Yeah, Trace trying to come back in. He gets caught a little bit. Shay out of the fight already. Trace locked up again. He's going to go down. A kill for space as Shy backs out, tanking that turret aggro. And CJ just going to turn right around to your Chaser and GBM. Able to save the turret for now, but that was a lot of damage and another kill for CJ.
This is such clean snowballing from CJ.
Yeah, very.
Operating on very small advantages in this game, very small.
No, we haven't seen CJ look this good in like 2 years.
I am very impressed. Coco already with the death cap completed, but they know exactly how much pressure they can put on these lanes with the items they have against Jin Air's champions, and it's working out incredibly well for them.
Yes, it is. And just pushing that lane down and bottom, making sure it continues to push as far as it can.
So CJ not getting that Dragon, but they trade 2 turrets and a kill for it. Well worth it for CJ Entus.
I would say
considering
so.
They already had the first 2. Now it will be a Void Staff for Coco eventually. Starts putting together that item. No real magic resist on the side of Jin Air yet, even though the Aegis is coming in eventually for Chaser. And just every little thing. Mad Life there in the jungle, threatening constantly.
Chaser comes in. They're going to lock up space. It's a lot of damage on him. Nice Grog Assault. Oh, but it can't save him from Jinx's rocket. And so Space trying to take out the turret. Can't quite do it. They're still going to chase down Trace here. Shy coming in. Over the wall goes Ambition. Gets hit with that Dark Binding, though. Trace still on top of him. Coco and Mad Life catching up, though. Here comes Chaser and Pilot. CJ still on the retreat. Shy locked up for quite a long time by Che.
And everyone was trying to stop Trace from ulting Ambition back towards Jin Air.
Yeah.
The Satchel Charge and the E from Hecarim both used to prevent him from getting that angle and picking up another kill. So a good defensive play on CJ after a bit of an overextension there from Space in the mid lane. So they have been slowed down a little bit. Gold lead still at 4K, and CJ continuing to get all the wards they want down onto the map.
Well, that's the thing is you can kill Space, but CJ just still has complete map control at this point. Bottom turret is, or bottom lane is starting to push maybe a little bit more in Jin Air's favor. A little bit hard to tell right now, but I think it is. So CJ's going to go need to deal with that at some point, but the rest of the map is theirs.
And Trace been stuck farming at tier 2 this entire time, finally getting closer to that Randuin's Omen, but Shy well served in terms of the armor and MR he's already picked up. Rylai's is finished for GBM, so Hecarim going to be much less of a threat on Pilot as they try and dive those back lines. Jin Air, they've got to hold out for a long, long time, maybe another 10 minutes, and they'll be in a position where they have an advantage.
Maybe if they had the Ziggs,
they really need the last Whisper completed to help deal with Shy right now. In spite of the ability to kite Shy out, it's still going to take so long to kill him at this point that Coco and Space will probably clean up your front line before that happens.
Yeah, Frozen Heart
done. Yeah, it's really quite problematic for them. Meanwhile, Trace, we see, is moving towards that Randuin's, but with Ninja Tabby and Randuin's, he's still going to take a lot of poke damage from Ziggs and Corki.
True. Not to mention some decent damage perhaps coming in from Ambition as well. Rylai is done for GBM. So continuing to kind of do what he can, and he's ahead on CS. Shy is still harassing Trace. There's just nobody that can really 1v1 Shy at this point.
Trace has no MR right now, and Cinderhulk, the mixed damage coming in from Hecarim because he doesn't have that Trinity Force. He hasn't gone straight into that item to boost his physical damage, so that AoE not really answered for. Meanwhile, Shy does have that cowl, so in terms of Cinderhulk wars, Shy is going to win out in terms of that damage over time, and all of Shyvana's damage, magic as well.
We'll watch Shy just like sit on Trace. And
Trace is Gromp buff though, so that's actually kind of annoying.
It's almost evening things out. Well, Coco trying to push Che back, Dragon up in about 45 now. And this is going to be one that CJ may want to grab.
Yeah, if they let another Dragon go over here, they will let Jin Air off the hook a little bit. They have to start that Dragon timer before this Jinx gets too big.
Yeah.
They are very tanky, but late game Jinx is not easy to deal with, especially with the amount of peel that they have between Sejuani, Cassiopeia, and Shyvana ultimates.
Yeah, that's much, much closer than game number 1, which is good because we usually don't see that out of Jin Air after they lose the first one. It's a good sign. Either way, though, not out of the woods yet. Shy still pushing ahead. He's done a decent amount of damage to Trace as well, too. And with Dragon coming out right now, Shy actually just ults. Wow, tried to catch Trace with that one. And I think he's going to back off. Meanwhile, the positioning for CJ looks pretty good around this Baron.
They don't have Hecarim ult, though. Now, 2 top laners recalling. Both have home guard.
Yeah, Trace has a bit lower health, but he's going to be able to get it quickly with that home guard. Here come the teleports. Chaser going in deep, but where's the follow-up? Dragon is taken by CJ. Mad Life turning it around, and that's a lot of damage onto GBM. Here comes Shy. If only he had his ult right now, it'd be over already. And Trace, nice damage from Ziggs. Good knockback. Mad Life grabs GBM. GBM flashes away, gets the kill onto Shy, but can he escape? Space flashing ahead, gets a kill onto Che. GBM taken down now too. So CJ with a Dragon and a couple kills, only losing Shy, and they are going right for Baron. Wow, CJ just has had control of this series for what, 4 games now pretty much.
Well, the disruption offered by this Gragas is so good with the Corki because you're able to isolate targets for a lot of burst with the Phosphorus Bomb and the rockets in between the auto attacks.
Trace
so
has
here
Smite.
we go.
He's going to try it. Nope, not there in time, and he's going to have to back away immediately.
And in that little scuffle right there as well, Coco hit a massive satchel charge, bouncing 3 people into a wall.
Yeah, that was huge.
Just really nice follow-up from CJ.
Mad Life landed a great anchor onto Gank by Mom as well too, and so really everybody on CJ just hitting all the skill shots they needed to.
Right, and GBM going down early with that Rylai's is huge as well because that hurts the kiting capability of Jin Air.
Jin Air is really lucky that Shy's ultimate was down because if it had not
That was
been
a
down,
4-man ult, yeah, for sure.
yeah, Shy would have crushed him. CJ would have just annihilated him. That could have easily been an ace if Shy would have had his ult.
Meanwhile, they're still desperately trying to fend off these Baron-empowered minion waves.
Yeah,
I really
it's
want to
not
see
gonna
that
be easy.
fight again, actually.
And we may get our chance here.
CJ in a perfect position. This game going to be a little bit more competitive than the last one, but Jin Air just not with that same level of objective control.
Oh, Ambition getting a bit grabbed. Ambition in a bit of trouble. Mad Life, can he save him? Ambition body slamming his way to safety, but not taking a ton of damage overall. Here comes CJ.
CJ really came alive in the last part of this season.
Sure did.
Even when we look at them and their run at the start,
There's the
it
turret.
wasn't this level of clean play. I mean, look at how aggressive they are in terms of taking out these towers and taking out the dragons and just outplaying their opponents
Another
every
turret.
single time. There's yet another tower.
5-1. I'm going to say it again. This is the best CJ has been in 2 years.
Yeah, I agree with you.
This is the best we've seen CJ play since Blaze got to the finals in Champion Spring 2013. By far.
Blaze won WCG. They had a pretty high point there. And
True, but I think overall though. Whoa! From downtown. Coco dunks him. Wow, that's a double kill now, and CJ engages. There's a Gragas ult. GBM ulted long range. Shy over the top. Goodbye, Trace. He's taking a lot of damage. Can he get out? No. And CJ, are they just going to end it right here? Do they actually have time to do it?
I don't. They have a minion wave coming in. Ambition going to tank it with his damage reduction on his W.
I guess they will. Yeah, there goes the first Nexus turret. I think this may be a little bit too much, but GBM's still up. They're going to keep trying, though. 10 seconds till Pilot appears. Oh, man, this is so dangerous for CJ. But look at them tear through these turrets with Baron. They're actually going to do it. Pilot is not going to get up in time. And CJ with a 2-0 so far by Jinx Rocket. GG. And CJ Entus continues to just look so good in this semifinal match. What in the world can Jin Air do?
Wow, this team is just on fire right now. The misplays in the early game from Jin Air were not that serious.
No.
They came back, put up a much better performance in terms of the farming and the lane swap and the 2v1 in the mid lane, found themselves with that turret advantage especially, but CJ is able to take very small mistakes and really punish them hard and keep on pressing through their power spikes around this Corki so they don't give Jin Air a chance to scale into that late game.
I really want to see what set up that kill onto Pilot for Coco with the Ziggs ult, because whoever set that one up should be the MVP, man.
He got poked by Corki and Ziggs, and then ended up eating a lot of burst right there. But
that was one of the most aggressive Ziggs we've seen ever, too.
CJ's accuracy with their skill shots, too, because it takes a lot of mechanical skill to be able to effectively push through in these crucial timings. You have to hit those skill shots, and they really delivered.
Seriously. Well, Jin Air in big trouble now, and that was a closer game, and CJ just taking that little edge and just blowing the game wide open and just ending it so quickly.
So decisive.
I know, that was like an SK Telecom K-esque end to that game where they're just like, oh, we're gonna win now. GG. So can Jin Air come back? You know, if the tilt is real, it will be real now.
Well, are we going to see standard lanes this game? Are they going to continue with this Jinx mid shenanigans? I don't think that's why they lost that last game. I don't. I do think it was why they lost the first game.
Well, either way, their plan has not been working. When we come back, guys, we'll see if CJ can lock it up 3-0 or if Jin Air will mount the comeback in this best of 5 here. The Champion Spring semi or finals. Just a yeah, just a fun match. Whatever. We'll be back in a few, guys. Don't go anywhere.